Welcome to the Sunday Spit Roast, skewering up the world for a good old-fashioned roasting. This episode is on fad diets and nutritionists. Ever wondered if nutritionists were full of shit? Or how good diets really are? Featuring Frank Cassidy, Damian Kingsley and Charlie Stanton, plus special guest, the comedian Susie Bennett. The Sunday Spit Roast.
Well, I don't know about you two guys, but this is something, it actually just pisses me off. And it's the idea of this modern day nutritionism spiel that we've got going around that isn't really scientific. I think it's come over from America, like many things do in this country.
Was that some sort of anti-American racism there, just sleeping in there? Are you biased? Are you a friend of America, Charlie?
I'm a friend of America, but I don't really see why we need to borrow so much of their clothes.
Really? I don't recall borrowing their clothes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sitting here in a Star Wars t-shirt.
It's a metaphor, right?
Is it?
It's a metaphor. It's like
quite a vague one that no one understands.
There's a point where you say, I like that jacket, and then you go, can I fucking wear it all the time? I think that's what we sort of do. But when it's bullshit, and you think that, oh God, this has just travelled the Atlantic, it doesn't seem like anybody really goes, oh yeah, this is shit. So the US can carry on being idiots, but we won't.
Obviously, if things are scientific, that's one thing. But if they're pretending to be scientific, if there's a group of individuals who are having some sort of pseudo-scientific hold over people, then they're basically wizards. They're not real scientists in any way, shape, or form. So for me, I'm always against wizards. Wizards are ridiculous people, sometimes religiously based.
You're always against wizards.
I'm always against wizards.
It's gone very Lord of the Rings early.
Well, it has to. I think we have to put
are you, an orc?
On this particular hill. I am an orc. Yeah, in fact, I am actually an orc, because what the orc stood for in Lord of the Rings was changing and overturning the wizards, right? So absolutely, yeah. And obviously Gandalf is like the last soldier standing between that change, and he's actually a wizard, right? Mm. So, and I've got to say, actually, his powers aren't that great. I mean, did you actually notice that?
No, he's only powerful when he's got that stick thing.
Yeah, the stick lights up white.
Yeah.
Didn't he clap
so
his
it's basically
hands
like
and
a really
a bird once and fly off of it?
Yeah.
No,
he summons birds.
He summons birds.
He can speak to the animal, so he's a bit of a kind of Dr. Dolittle type person.
Yeah, not that useful.
And he's basically got a wizard staff, which is like a massive torch.
I've got a wizard staff just listening to that. But also there's him versus the other wizards, who was Dracula,
Saruman,
right?
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, they both like have it out with their staffs, don't they? And it's very impressive. But you just wondering how in real life how unimpressive that really would be.
That's why I find it a little bit amusing when people just focus on the actions of the orcs and go, Tolkien was a racist. Saruman was as white as fuck.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody noticed.
And look, when Gandalf, when Gandalf got powerful, he went from being Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White. Exactly. So I mean, how much more racist and UKIP? Lord of the UKIP, it should have been called.
Oh God, we don't need to talk about UKIP.
As we don't have a demographic yet, Charlie, I wouldn't start slacking off groups of people. Let's find out. I mean, we could have a big UKIP following. So
Oh, right.
Actually, that's probably an idea.
I think if we've got a big
tap
UKIP
into that.
following, we're doing something wrong.
Possibly.
I'll have them.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. If we get 100,000 UKIP supporters, I'm up for that. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've got to have something to laugh to too, right?
How did we get from nutrition onto
wizards?
This is not a wizard podcast, is it?
No. Actually, what the point I was trying to make was, I think that anyone who's not scientific tends to be a wizard, and I think in all cases, wizards should be destroyed.
There's a certain identity with the way that people live their lives. Now, if you've got something like nutrition, it's not as if they're really concerned about being healthy. They're being the modern day guys that you see sort of maybe down the gym, or it seems more like they're concerned about looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've always been into people that are kind of self-neglecting.
They're
my favourites. The old man down the bookies, just chain smoking roll-ups.
Well, I've noticed now with smoking, there's two types of smokers now. There's smokers who politely stand outside buildings and they have a cigarette, and then there's the smoker who walks along the street smoking, and they've got a different air about them. They sort of walk along.
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck, and people are just tutting as they go past them, and they actually stop to light a new cigarette and then carry on.
I saw a I don't give a fuck smoker the other day, and he just he had a massive puff of his cigarette. and a bit of the ash kind of just blew down the street into my eye.
Did you feel completely intimidated?
He saw it, because I was sort of staring at him. I was just thinking, because I smoke sometimes, but I thought, I don't want your fucking cloud of smoke just blowing in my face. And I sort of stared at him from about 2 meters away.
From the other eye, yeah?
No. And then it came. And you could sort of see his facial expression go, yeah, you fucking deserve that, you staring prick.
But I was going to say, back to the gym thing. I've occasionally gone to gyms when I felt guilty and done that. And what I do notice about it is gyms have on every single wall full-length mirrors. So, basically, I mean, it's the temple of narcissism. And what you tend to notice, if you just stop, if you're doing your exercises, I think you still call them exercises, don't you?
Yeah.
Was that an old
Yeah,
fashioned?
When
you're doing your exercise, when you're doing your workout, and you stop for a second in your pimp clothes, right, and your little shorts,
lifting,
and you just look around the room and you see everyone else, all the beautiful people working out, and what they're actually doing, they're all just doing amazing cum faces in all the mirrors at themselves. So they're actually in their minds coming, being fit, looking beautiful, and staring at themselves all at the same time. So you're just in a temple. You're in this temple of narcissism.
I don't have a problem with it. There's, if you want to train, train. It's for health reasons.
Oh, no, definitely.
Endorphins. I mean, you do feel good after a workout. I think that's not bullshit.
I haven't got a problem with anybody that wants to train. Yeah. If your experience is simply going to the gym, lifting heavy things, right, and maybe reading through some sort of like fitness book, that does not give you any license to go around and start giving out nutrition advice and saying, put this into your body, put that, and they're going, oh yeah, well you should have this. What he's saying doesn't actually, that's for cartilage. It's nothing to do with muscle gain. Yeah. And it's just the gym have bought a certain amount of stock of protein supplements that they need to sell. And the people that are in the gym, it's their job to sell them and get the money, really.
There's a lot of self-appointed idiots walking around gyms, giving nutritional advice that they don't understand, and also training advice. I always get some sort of fat, middle-aged man, probably in worse shape than me, walking up to me at the gym and telling me how to do something.
So I respect that. If someone's
really,
I like in a gym when someone turns up and they look like they haven't worked out at all. And they're like, right, I'm going to work you. I'm going to work you hard. I know about your body. I just feel it's like, what balls that person has.
That whole vitamin craze was actually started by a scientist called Linus Pauling that won 2 Nobel Prizes. He revolutionised the fields of chemistry and everything. But then it's when someone like that goes, right, I'm going to turn my hand to this now and get everything wrong.
Yeah. All right, Charlie, lay it out for us, right? So imagine we all come in from this from a pretty sort of non-technical point of view, right? So if I were talking to this Linus Paul guy, right, who is the father of this, how would he describe it? What's his science? How would he sum it up and explain what you need? Why does he think it's important to do this?
Well, I know you've probably heard of the old buzzwords antioxidants.
Yes.
Right, and
I don't know what it means, but yes,
the amount of products. So basically, your body.
I'm pro-oxidant, so.
Okay. Our bodies produce their own antioxidants, and they fight against these molecules called free radicals. Healthy people that eat a lot of fruit and veg and everything and consume more antioxidants are healthier. So the assumption there is, right, take out all the oxidants, put them in a pill form, consume more than the daily recommended allowance for vitamins, and you'll basically live for fucking ever. Unfortunately, the complete opposite happens. And there are loads of studies where they've tried to look into the benefits of taking vitamins to fight against various cancers. Mortality rates increase up to 50% for the people that are actually taking the vitamin supplements.
Yes, so this Linus guy would say basically, even though you can get this stuff naturally and conveniently with fruit, it's actually more beneficial to extract it from things like fruit, put it into a condensed pill format, and pop that. And the reason why you need it because there's no end, there's no ceiling on what you can take. That's in a nutshell.
That's it in a nutshell, and it's wrong.
Pills in a nutshell. That's just wrong.
When it comes to things like losing weight, and we've got decades of looking into various ways of not to lose weight. There are areas where I think it's got to get to a point where evidence reflects a particular truth. Otherwise, you're just going to be a bit of an annoying prick, and it's not going to benefit anyone. You're going to go around circles going, "Oh well, I don't necessarily believe that." Well, I don't understand how you cannot. There have been 15 trials done on this from like 1985 to 2006. They all show the same thing. why would you want to keep on doing something that isn't going to work?
Well, I mean, so that's, I suppose, why I asked you before, like, is it hurting anyone? Because, like, if people want to be part of that experience and feel like that's making them, healthier by buying, a bucket load of protein for a very expensive one and then eating that to the heart's content, surely can't they be part of that club?
Well, if they're getting health risks from it, then I don't think it depends on your outcome. If you want to lose weight and what you're doing is not helping you lose weight, don't do it, because you're going to be the one sitting there thinking, "Oh, I'm fat. Oh, I've spent loads of money on this." And you could, and that's just superficial.
Are they stoned as well? Yeah?
Maybe.
Yeah.
You can really get them down.
Slightly retarded.
I mean, it's hard to sort of say like how detrimental it could be. Like in some cases, it could be not that detrimental.
Let's just nail this thing about fatness just for a second here, right? Because I think, I'm a libertarian, right? So I think, if someone wants to be fat and they're happy, right?
Yeah,
and they
if
enjoy
they want
that,
to be,
knock themselves out. I don't find them attractive because of it. I don't find, when people are properly fat, it isn't a attractive thing. But so what? Who gives a shit about what I find attractive, right? I can't go around through a narrow prism of just attractiveness, understanding what people are like, right? So that's where I see it. Now, if someone wants to genuinely be happier, and they would be happier if they were healthier, obviously, they should pursue that. But my worry that people might be wanting to change being fat where they're basically happy because of pressure from the media and society and all that to go and do that, and that I find concerning. And if people are doing that and they're seeing these sort of shakes and potions and spells that can be cast on them by these nutritionists that will help them get there faster, then that's a worry. If I was smoking a cigarette, right, and someone came and said, "You shouldn't do that,"
that's different.
I'd be like, "Fuck off, leave me alone." Do you know what I mean? Like, up yours. And I wouldn't like to be that person to someone who is being fat next to me. Do you know what I mean? "Oh, you're so fat, it's terrible."
I'll tell you what you get now. You get the carb police.
Yeah, exactly.
People like people frowning on you just because you got a sandwich at lunchtime.
Someone should do that as a 70s cop show. Carb police.
That's why I can't.
You get disapproving looks.
The attack on it pisses me off when I go, "Oh, fucking McDonald's, don't want to be eating that, mate." Well, I don't look. Explain something to me, right? Bun, lettuce, sauce, onion, beef patty. What's the fucking problem?
Well,
also,
exactly. Yeah.
It's a treat food.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's nice to have a treat every now and again.
Oh, you got all the chemicals. What, you mean the chemicals that are going to be involved in the meat that they produce from outside sources anyway? It's not like McDonald's, all these cloaks like mixing this pot, like throwing this acid into this vat of fucking meat.
People in my office, in my day job, talk about it like it's heroin.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, Damian's back on the carbs. Have you seen that? Look at the state of him.
We're going to have an intervention party.
Well, I think there should be Carbs Anonymous. So you just sort of go, "I'm sorry, just started with a sandwich and then I'd had to have bread in the morning, toast and everything."
It's been 3 weeks since I had a potato.
Big bowl of pasta, dear.
We're with you, Damien. Get the late night call, Damien.
I can do it.
Listen, I'm sitting in front of this massive plate of chips. Help me. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Actually, on a serious note, we said addiction was a different thing to, basic nutritional advice, but in a way there is kind of addiction, isn't it? When people get to a certain point of obesity, they're addicted to eating a certain type of food, aren't they? So it's a bit more complex.
Maybe they just found, I mean, we're all looking for happiness, right?
Do you think they are?
Maybe there's ones who just think, I've won the game of life. I have made it. I won. Everyone else is losers. You know what I mean? I have 15 squares a day and, I couldn't be happier. If someone washes me with a rag on a stick and I don't have to do anything, I've won.
At what point did society get to this stage where certain people need to be smashed out of their house, literally, with a crane and bulldozer? Every single time, without fail, it gets to the point where someone comes up with a microphone and goes, "By the way, you're going to die now," and they shit themselves.
Yeah.
Then they want the surgery. Then they want how many pounds worth of fat sucked out of them. So you just think, well, fair enough. You've had this sort of, 10, 15 year spiel of doing what you want. But look, you're shitting yourself now. You know you're going to die in a month. You're not happy. So really, what was it all for?
Maybe they're just rolling the dice. They're like, look, I appreciate this is going to shorten my life, but my life while I'm here is going to be just the most fun ever. My taste buds are going to experience everything in the biggest amount of quantities ever.
But they only have that point of view while they're okay. When they're not okay, it all changes again.
When they've been chucked to the hospital, yeah?
Yeah, like when they've lost all their teeth.
Look, I mean, it's like, okay, rock climbers, right? Rock climbers. Now, I think, knock yourself out. You're a nutcase. You're an absolute nutcase. But they